Hey everyone, for a minute, let's just forget all the headlines about bigger, faster AI. Because the real evolution, the shift that's truly going to change how we work and live, it's happening on a much, much deeper level. We're moving past just making AI smarter and into making AI we can actually rely on.
This quote right here, it just gets to the heart of it all. It's not just about raw intelligence anymore. It's about building systems we can trust, systems that can scale, and systems we can share. And you know what? Those three pillars, trust, scale, and the data that fuels it all, that's exactly what we're going to break down today to really understand where AI is headed.
So how in the world do we build an AI that we can actually trust? It's a massive question, right? Well, the research points to two really critical areas we need to master. First, we have to teach AI to understand the difference between a simple correlation and what's real cause and effect. And second, we've got to secure it from a whole new world of complex threats. All right, first up is a concept with a very long name: causal neuro-symbolic reinforcement learning. I know, it sounds super complicated, but the core idea is actually incredibly simple and powerful. It's all about teaching an AI to understand the why behind things, not just the what. And that is a huge leap beyond just simple pattern matching.
This analogy on the slide is just perfect for explaining this whole thing. A standard AI sees a rooster crowing and the sun rising, and it thinks, okay, got it, these two things are linked. But a causal model, it goes a step further. It understands that the rooster's crow doesn't cause the sunrise. So why does that matter so much? Well, it means we can finally build an AI that won't make silly or even dangerous mistakes when it runs into a totally new situation. It's a massive step towards an AI that can actually explain its own reasoning, moving it from a black box to something we can finally understand and trust.
But look, trustworthy AI isn't just about smarter reasoning. It's also about security. And this is especially true as AI becomes more agentic, which is just a fancy way of saying an AI that can actually do things, not just talk about them. The second an AI can send an email, access a database, or connect to other software, well, the security risks just multiply like crazy. To really map out these new threats, researchers came up with this 5-layer model. And as you can see, an attack can happen at pretty much any stage. It could be something like a prompt injection in layer 1. That's where a really cleverly worded command tricks the AI into doing something it shouldn't. Or it could be a compromised tool in layer 2. The key takeaway here is that securing these systems means we have to defend all 5 of these fronts at the same time. I mean, how do you even begin to defend against all that? It's a huge, huge challenge.
Okay, so let's move on and see how this all builds. Once we have a foundation of trust, the very next challenge is making it all work efficiently at a massive scale. How do we take these powerful AI systems and make them practical for businesses and entire industries without, breaking the bank?
So there's this one case study that gives us a really powerful blueprint. A major global retailer deployed a real-time AI framework to connect its e-commerce site with all its physical stores. They used it to predict customer demand, personalize engagement, and the efficiency gains they saw were just incredible.
First off, they saw a massive 32% reduction in their operational costs. Just gone.
Then, they got a 38% improvement in forecasting accuracy. Now, for us, the customers, that means the product you want is actually on the shelf. And for the business, it means way less waste and a much smoother supply chain.
And all of this brilliantly illustrates the bottom line: a 22% increase in customer retention. Those efficiency gains directly translated into happier, more loyal customers. It's pretty amazing. Okay, so those results are absolutely incredible for one company. But it brings up a huge question. How did they build the infrastructure to make that happen? And maybe more importantly, how can an entire enterprise with dozens of different teams all building their own AI models do this without creating a totally chaotic and expensive mess?
And this brings us to this really cool concept of multi-tenant AI platforms. The analogy on this slide is just perfect. The old way is like every single family trying to build its own personal power plant. It's incredibly inefficient. The new model is like an entire city sharing one single power grid. Think of it like how cloud services like Google Drive work. Millions of us share the same infrastructure efficiently and securely. It's all about pooling those resources to drive down costs and prevent that classic noisy neighbor problem, where one power-hungry AI task slows everyone else down.
So we have a path to trustworthy AI, and we have a path to scalable AI. But what fuels it all? Well, the answer is always, always data. Specifically, high-quality,
Diverse data is the essential fuel for conversational AI, and right now, there is a huge gap.
Researchers have pointed out a major bottleneck that's holding back conversational AI. See, most of our existing speech datasets are like monologues. Think of someone reading an audiobook. They just don't capture the dynamic back-and-forth feel of a real multi-person conversation, and they often lack a ton of linguistic diversity.
So, to solve this data shortage, researchers came up with this absolutely fascinating solution. They just decided to create the data they needed from scratch. Here's how it works. They start with real topics from New York Times articles, feed them to a large language model, and have it generate realistic multi-person conversations. Then, they convert that text to audio, and they even add human-like emotion and pacing. The result is a massive new dataset of 200,000 synthetic dialogues, all custom-built to train the next generation of AI. What a clever way to solve such a fundamental problem.
So the crucial point in all of this is that building the future of AI isn't about one single breakthrough. It's this multifaceted challenge that requires a combination of progress across several key areas all at once: trust, scale, and of course, the data that powers everything.
So let's just tie this all together. As we've seen, the cutting edge of AI is really shifting its focus. It's moving beyond just raw power and towards creating systems we can truly trust. And that trust, it's built on smarter reasoning, on efficient architectures that can actually scale, and on the high-quality, diverse data that forms the very foundation of it all.
And that brings us right back to where we started. This future isn't some distant dream. It's being built right now by people asking these very questions. Which leaves one final, really important question for all of us to consider. What role will you play? Thanks for joining this explainer.